Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV, where it is a, shall we say, blustery Friday. Did you come from Gallipolis?
I did. It is quite cold there this
About
morning.
drive off the highway and...
My gosh, it is windy. It is cold out there. The only thing we're missing is that snow, right?
Right, exactly. We've had a few flurries along the way. It's almost too cold to snow. But the great news, folks, if you need to get outside, hopefully this weekend, the temperatures are going to pop up just a little bit, enough to make it bearable outside at least. But we are here today, and we are going to talk about a convention coming up. So first off, could you tell everybody a little bit about who you are?
Absolutely. I'm Dr. Jonathan Seaton. I actually work at Holzer, also in Gallipolis, as a general surgeon there. But separate from that, I have a very deep love of gaming and wanted to kind of bring gaming for kids to this area. I'm a dad of 7 wonderful children, aged from 3 all the way up to 23. I see that look. I know.
Good for you. God bless you.
Yeah, my oldest one just graduated college, and I have one that's not even in preschool yet. So there's quite a range there, but it's wonderful. I have 5 girls, 2 boys, 23, 21, 19, 2 12-year-old twins, and then a 5 and a 3-year-old. So
Oh my God.
kind of run the gamut of it. So, hanging out and doing
But
things.
you look so young. How is that?
I appreciate it. It's good genes. Good genes, clean living, guys. That's the truth of it.
There you go. Lots of video games, evidently.
Yeah. A lot, though. It's great because we get to do a lot together, my kids and I. And specifically, a thing that I always loved growing up was getting a chance to play games with my dad. So my dad is pretty awesome in that he grew up in the 60s and 70s when, a lot of board games and things like that were just coming out, when Dungeons and Dragons was first just kind of introduced to the world. He got to grow up in kind of that world, and as I was growing up, he introduced me to that too. I have a lot of really fond memories of getting to not just hang out with him and play games at home, but he would also take me to these awesome conventions where it's like you'd pack up the car, drive for a few hours, and show up at this, place. It might be a VFW hall or something like that that was just kind of decked out for gaming. And inside were just, more board games, card games, role-playing games than I'd ever seen in my life. And it was awesome.
It was probably just overload as a kid, right?
Absolutely. Even so today, I mean, you go to a game
Sure.
store and you look at these shelves and there's just hundreds of shelves everywhere filled with nothing but games. So, I mean, it was just something that I grew up really passionate about and loving. And so as I had kids of my own, it was really great to share that with them.
That is amazing. And, as you do have kind of a spread of ages in your family, I assume that you have to kind of be a little bit of everything to everybody, How's that work out?
Absolutely. I mean, it's great because one of the great things about games is that you can find so many games. There are literally just millions of games out there for you to choose from. Whether your kids like playing card games or board games or miniature games or role-playing games or anything to that effect. I mean, there's a game out there. As many, shapes and sizes of people there are shapes and sizes of games. And they have games tailored to each age group. I mean, with my 3-year-old, we can play, color matching games, things like that. My 5-year-old, he's just kind of learning how to read now, so we play some, the more simple number games, things he doesn't have to read a lot. He's really big into playing Pokemon cards right now. That's a huge thing for him. So as I've grown up, I've had to adapt and learn how to play a lot of these games that my kids are playing and enjoying. But I think it's great because it gives you a time, one-on-one with them and then also with their siblings, which is great because having so many kids there, you always have a bunch of players ready to fill in.
Yeah, well, and that's true. You have some help along the way, right?
Absolutely. I mean, my older kids are great in that they love to spend time with their younger siblings too. They have their little sibling rivalries, but they can solve it over a game of Monopoly, which, by the way, Monopoly is the quickest game for you to learn how much you don't get along with some of your siblings if you haven't played Monopoly. It's the biggest game, I think, with the board flipping that occurs.
Really? Do you know, this is crazy. I have never played Monopoly in my life.
Wow, I thought that was just a classic. Everybody had played that. Well, now I haven't talked it up enough. No, it's great. It's wonderful.
I haven't.
You
I don't
should
know why.
Definitely crack it out with the family, and you'll very quickly learn exactly how conniving and backstabbing people can turn out to be. It's amazing.
Because basically, so tell us the synopsis of Monopoly. We have time.
Oh, absolutely. So Monopoly it's a board game.
And it's been around for 100 years, so it must be pretty good, right?
I mean, it's pretty popular. That's the beauty of it. A lot of these games, in some form or another, have been around for so long that clearly there's just something inherent in them that makes every new generation want to keep playing. But Monopoly, it's a board where you go around the board and you buy up properties as you land on them. And then once you own that property, when other people land on your property, they have to pay you rent. So you have a certain amount of money you start the game with, and then all the rest of the money that changes hands occurs because people are buying and selling properties. And what happens is when you own a certain strip of properties, then you get to charge more money for the rent on there, and you start to build little houses and hotels there, and every time a person lands on it, then they have to pay you more money based on how many things you've built there. So that's why I say you'll never realize how backstabbing your kids can be until you learn, until you've seen them play a game of Monopoly.
So how do you earn money in Monopoly?
So a lot of it is from passing hands from one to the other, and then also there's little cards called the community chest, which lets you tax everybody. I get to tax everybody. You all have to give me $25 or things like that. And it's all based off of a couple of dice rolls. So you roll the dice and you move it many places. So it's mainly just a game of who can build up the most property in one spot and who can charge everybody the most rent. And then the first person to go bankrupt, the game ends. And then whoever has the most money at that point in property and money wins the game. Then they get to throw their money up in the air and declare themselves the winner.
It seems like that game could go on for a really long time.
It does. Monopoly is one of those games where oftentimes we'll start a game and then you have to kind of put the board away to the side and then continue it. I believe that the longest game we ever had lasted for about a week, playing it every night for about an hour every night.
Oh my God.
Because you just kind of keep going around and keep passing money back and forth and back and forth.
It just never ends.
Yeah. But one of the things I really love, Monopoly and about gaming in general, is that it helps to teach your kids not to be sore losers. And I think that that's really important. Sportsmanship.
Whoa. Did you just say that out loud?
I did. I mean, you can't be a sore loser. You have to understand that every game is going to have a winner and a loser. No one can be expected to win every game every time. And certainly not the first time you play a game, you're never going to be able to know all the rules and know how to play it. So that's why it's important that, as you play the games and as you lose, that you lose with grace. And you understand that, hey, I understand that, I won and I lost. And don't be a sore winner either. Don't rub it in everybody else's faces that, hey, I won. Because guess what? Next week, you might be the one losing that game.
That's right.
But what I tell my kids, the most important thing is that as long as you learn from what you did wrong this time, so that way you can kind of change things up the next time, you can do a little bit better the next time. And if you're learning something every time you play, then as I tell them, then you're not really losing anything.
There you go. Wow, I want to hang out with you more often.
We do play a lot of games and we have some fun, that's for sure.
No, I used to spend a lot of time just messing with cards when I was younger. And I always thought, how do people create these card games? Just playing card games. And I was like, my gosh. So I used to think about what kind of playing card games could you create? I never really created one, but it seemed like a cool thing because there's just how people come up with these games just blows my mind.
I mean, it's amazing to me to think that you have a simple deck of 52 cards, and how many hundreds of different games can you play with that one simple deck?
Yes.
I mean, for my younger kids, it's like I said, it's as easy as you have things like Go Fish,
Yeah,
a game that
matching and
anyone can play. You're matching colors, you're matching numbers.
Yep.
And then you can get as complex as, some of these rummy games and things like that. And that was another one. See, growing up, my grandmother and I, she used to love to play card games. She loved gin rummy. And what I learned growing up, too, as I've aged and met a lot of other people who play is that apparently even though gin rummy has like 1 or 2 real rules, everybody plays with their own house rules. And it's very funny.
It it's like euchre, same. Like, okay, we got to establish the rules ahead of time because there's some things that could be added or taken away as a rule to make it harder or easier or more challenging. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why like you mentioned there, it's really important to establish the rules because when I started playing gin rummy with my wife, she had a totally different idea of what the card game was and how you won and how you points because she also learned it playing with her grandmother, and her grandmother played a slightly different version than what my grandmother played. And, it's just very funny because establishing the rules is important because that's how you're going to teach kids and how they're going to learn.
Love that. Love that. Okay, so that brings us kind of to the convention. Is this the first one you've done, or tell us about it?
This is so a little earlier this year, I'd been thinking about it for a very long time, wanting to actually bring a board game convention to the area. I've lived in Gallipolis now for almost 6 years. I'm a transplant from the East Coast.
Okay.
East Coast was a little bit different living there, but I really do love it, out here in Ohio. And I've been working in the Point Pleasant and the Gallipolis area now for many years. And one thing that I wish that we had more of was what I had growing up, which was these conventions in the area. And over the last few years, some other things have, gotten a little bit bigger in the area. Right over in Rio Grande, we have the Final Boss Con.
Yes.
With Michaela Haley.
So
great
cool.
guy, super good guy. He's been helping me along the way, teaching me things.
He's a good one.
Yeah, how to put this together. Because obviously, when I came up with the idea, but then actually implementing it and putting it into practice is a completely different thing. It can be difficult. There's a lot of roadblocks you're going to hit. So he's been a great resource for me to kind of bounce ideas off of and talk about it. But this is our first one. It's coming up in January, on January 11th and 12th. It's going to be in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, at the Hartley Community Center. It's going to be called Board Games for Bored Kids. So
I love that.
Thank you. It was one that my kids actually helped me come up with. We bounced a lot of names back and forth, and I wanted a name that was going to kind of reflect what the convention was about, but also kind of have a fun play on words and make it memorable so people could think about it. So I actually, set the whole thing up, secured the venue, set up a website so that people can start registering for the event, things like that.
Okay. And hey, at least you have an army to help you.
I
built
absolutely
in,
do.
right?
Yeah, I mean, it is great. Between my wife and my children giving me assistance with this, it's really helped get it along because it is a big endeavor. It's a big undertaking to be able to put all of this together. And, in kind of a short time that we're doing this, but I've really enjoyed it and it's been great and it's a learning experience. And, I'll have to get back to you after I have it and tell you exactly how much of a learning experience it was. But the main thing that I wanted to do with gaming is kind of help kids to have this environment where everyone's there for the same thing, where their goal is that they want to come in and they want to have fun and they want to see other people having fun because,
don't we all just want to have some fun? Like, seriously.
Especially this time of year. I mean, it is Christmas time and, we're kind of leading right up to the season and this will take place a little bit after that. And I want to kind of bring that joy kind of through the season. But, while fun is the focus, I really think that gaming can teach kids a lot of other things. I mean, we talked a little bit about not being a sore loser or a sore winner, but also critical thinking skills, problem solving, how to think outside the box, strategy, implementation, and also how luck can play into things. Because a lot of these games involve things like dice rolls or drawing a card.
Right.
And you have to understand that sometimes you can't control every aspect, and you just have to make the best play with what you have available.
Yeah, go with it. It's, you think about that, and I love that you said that because I feel like sometimes common sense is not, I guess you can kind of teach it, but I think if you're just learning it through osmosis, a little bit of strategy and all of this stuff, games are the best way to do that because you figure it out on your own. You have to, or you're going to lose.
Exactly. And I find that it kind of helps to break down barriers because, it's difficult. You go into a room and there's, 100 people there that you've never met before. And, you get nervous, especially as a kid. And, I think people don't take into account how much that kids feel the same feelings that we feel as adults, where they're nervous. They walk into a room and it's not like school where they know everybody and they've been
Right.
friends. It's like walking into a new school every day and you're kind of meeting all these new people and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to act? How am I going to interact with them?
Without as many coping skills as we as adults have.
Absolutely.
So that's even worse. So, yeah.
But you put a game in front of them and it's like magic. You see kids suddenly start all gravitating over and you see two people start playing a game together and then everybody wants to come in. And that's, why I want to pay it forward too is because the way that I've always lived by is kind of like a mantra of that you see it, you do it, and you teach it. And I mean, it's how medicine is taught. You watch things happen,
Sure.
you learn how to do them, and then you teach the next generation.
Sure.
And with gaming, it's kind of just a natural progression of that.
Love that.
You watch people game, and then you learn how to game, and then before you know it, now you know how to do this, and now you have this desire to want to teach others how to do it too, because you want them to see the joy that you're having and the fun, and you want to bring more people in, and that's what gaming really is. Like, I haven't found a community that's more accepting of people than the gaming community in general.
And that's wonderful. And so tell us, how have these conventions changed since you were a little kid versus, what you're going to put on here in January?
I mean, a lot of things have changed, I can tell you, since I was a kid. It is no longer kind of the back way, how do we find these places out? I mean, with the internet and with radio and TV the way that it is, like everybody is out there. Everybody has, a soapbox there that you can kind of get up on and talk about it, which is great because honestly, when I was a kid, it was hard to find some of these things. My dad and I would sometimes have to travel, a day's travel just to get to a convention that might be only for a day there to play games all day long.
Sure.
And come home. And so I really feel like the marketing has changed dramatically with, things like Facebook, the internet, a lot of these other sites where you can everybody has the ability to get their advertising out there. So that way you can kind of make sure that everyone's included. Because again, that's my goal, is to kind of keep everybody included in this. I want people to know that, hey, I can come to this and I can have a good time because everyone here is just here to have a good time. But also, I feel like it's really gotten a lot more mainstream. You see a lot more people talking about things like Dungeons and Dragons. The TV show Stranger Things really brought that to the forefront. And suddenly, you start seeing everybody in junior high now wants to go out and they want to play a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
They've discovered it.
Exactly.
But no, I think sometimes things get stereotyped. Like, Dungeons and Dragons is nerdy. I don't want to be doing that, or, whatever. And then all of a sudden something happens where kids are like, oh, everyone's doing it. Cool.
I
Love that.
absolutely agree. I mean, that there are a lot of things, and when I was growing up, it was considered a nerdy thing to do. It was like, oh, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons in the basement. That's what you're doing. But in reality, it was you and a bunch of your friends hanging out. It was just a natural extension of what you did every day. And then honestly, as video games became more popular, and specifically the role-playing video games became a lot more popular, a lot of this became a lot more mainstream. And people were like, hey, wait a minute. I want to try that out too. And then all of a sudden,
it's actually fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see them start advertising it on these really popular shows. And I mean, you can turn on a lot of shows nowadays and there's a reference to Dungeons and Dragons or board games or card games, or I mean, between these card games that are out like Magic and Pokemon and things like that. These are games that have been out for 20, 25 years. I mean, they have staying power. There's something that keeps every new generation, because it's not just me from when I was a kid still playing this game. It's every new generation. I mean, my 5-year-old son is just as interested in Pokemon as my 30-year-old brother was when it first came out, that many years ago. So there's something about this that every new generation kind of engages with and kind of keeps making it their own and bringing it on. And that's what I love about these things. Like you said with Monopoly, I mean, some of these games literally are 100 years old. Poker and gin rummy and things like that. I mean, these games have been around forever. There's something inherent in when we get together and gather in a group, we want to play games together. Whether it's games of chance with dice or cards or board games, we want to do that. And I think it's because a lot of us really inherently, we love the competition of it, but we also just really enjoy how it kind of, like I said, breaks down the barriers and you can just talk to somebody. When you're sitting there across a board from another person, and they're thinking about things and you're thinking about things, you strike up conversations. You start talking to them, and you may never have seen this person before, never talked to them before in your life.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, by the end of this 40-minute game, it's like you guys could go and hang out and do things together because you realize that you have so much in common.
Love that. Yeah, and you're exactly right. And there's something about games that have had such staying power where so many other things are not. We are a very fickle society. We tend to be a throwaway society. We just kind of, the newest and latest and greatest thing is it, and then next week it'll be something else. But with games, not so much. And yeah, I can remember being here and selling advertising 20 some years ago to a place in Wellston that sold the Pokemon and the Magic the Gathering and all of those cards. And back then I was like, what the heck is this? I've never even heard of it before, but people were just eating it up, and it's still going on today. So that's really super cool. Not too many things stay that long.
That's true. Like you said, you think about, like, I always joke about the 24-hour news cycle. As soon as something's out of the news for 24 hours, you don't think about it anymore.
Sure.
But there's something about these games, and a lot of these games are based on some of the old IPs from when I was a kid. I mean, at this convention, we'll be playing Warhammer, we'll be playing G.I. Joe, we'll be playing Transformers, we'll be playing Pokemon, we'll be playing all these games that are based on stuff that was around in the 80s when I was growing up that, in my head, I still think the 80s was 20 years ago. But in reality, it's 40 years ago. I know.
Tell me about it.
So if something can stay that popular for 40 years, there must be something about it that people love. And when you keep bringing it back in a game form and people keep playing it, I mean, you mentioned the Pokemon game. That's a game that, in essence, hasn't changed since it came out in 1998 to now. Every year they put out new cards, but the essence of that game has just kind of stayed the same for all these years.
So tell me a little bit, and I never did really understand, like, you have Pokemon and you have Magic and even Dungeons and Dragons and all of this. Like, I know they exist, but I don't understand. So I know people would go and they would buy Pokemon cards. Then, like, how is that a game? Like, is it like baseball cards? You buy a pack of them not knowing what you're going to get kind of thing?
Yes. So a lot of these games are what they call collectible card games, like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon are some of the more popular ones right now. And basically you can buy a deck which tells you exactly what cards are in it, and you can just play right with that out of the package. You open it up, you and a friend each have a deck, and you play that game. But when you want to make your own deck, and that's kind of what kids want to do, they want to build things and make it their own, you're buying these what we call blind packs that you're opening up and you have no idea what's in them.
It's like Christmas.
Exactly. And
fun.
I think that's part of what the joy is that, until you actually open that up, it could be anything. It could be the card that you want the most. It could also be the card that you want the least, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's that whole Christmas morning of opening something up and surprising it. My son, it's funny because he knows where the rare card is in the Pokemon pack, so he flips them over and he does them from the back, so that way he doesn't get to the prize rare card until he's all finished up with it, because he wants to see everything else first, and then he wants that special card to be, the big rare.
The last one.
But it's great because my 12-year-old, he loves to play Pokemon. He trades cards with his friends, and then he'll come home and he'll have built a new deck, and then we'll sit and we'll play together, and I'll build a deck. I mean, he's got thousands of cards, so we'll throw together a couple of things, and it's great because he has, you're learning the problem-solving skills. He's trying to figure out, hey, what should go in this deck? What would help make it stronger? How can I play this? And then he also, honestly, he goes online and he looks at what other people are playing. I mean, we joke about Pokemon and saying it's a kid's game, but this is literally a thing where they have tournaments, where people fly from other countries to go play in these tournaments, with prizes in the tens of thousands of dollars for the winners.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, Dylan, who isn't here right now in the studio, but I mean, he has a college scholarship to Rio for gaming. Like, this is a thing, and it's getting bigger by the minute. And so tell me a little bit about the difference between, like, I understand physically, like, card games versus video games, but is all of that going to be included in your convention, or is it more board games and card games?
We're focusing more on board games and card games.
Okay.
As far as the video game convention, A lot of that is really being covered by the Rio Final Boss Con, and I
Yes.
didn't want to kind of compete with that because
Sure.
I kind of wanted to keep the two separate. But honestly, a lot of that goes hand in hand. The same people who play video games are a lot of the same people who play board games and card games. You mentioned the scholarship for the esports for the
Yeah,
big video gaming.
it's crazy now.
It's been around for a while. I mean, I know people who 17, 18 years ago were going to much smaller events to compete in esports. But now you're right. Now it's becoming like you can get a college scholarship on esports the same way that you can for playing football or basketball or baseball.
It's great.
And actually, Michaela Haley, who I mentioned earlier, he actually runs the esports team over there at Rio.
Yep.
So he knows a lot about that. And he's out there recruiting kids based on how well they play some of
Isn't
these
that
games.
wild? Something that you love to do, like anyway, and then you're getting a college education for it. Same as football or basketball or cheerleading or any of that stuff.
It's amazing.
Really cool. Really cool. So let's get into some of the specifics of your convention and who can come. Will there be like learning sessions? If you don't know anything about gaming, can you still come?
Absolutely. I really wanted this to be very open and inclusive, especially with it being the first one.
Okay.
And I really wanted to encourage, even if you've never picked up a board game or a card game before, for you to come out there. I have a lot of really great guys helping me from a lot of the local places. I actually want to mention a few. We have Retro Rocket in Wellston.
Uh-huh.
We have Retro Brothers in Gallipolis, which is a great little retro gaming store. Brown's Corner over in Point that sells comics and a lot of these card games that we mentioned.
Okay.
And Deep Dive Games up in Athens. And a lot of these guys have been really great and instrumental in helping to bring this together. And a lot of them are going to have people represented there at our convention who their sole job is going to be to teach people who have never played these games how to play.
There you go. Fun.
I'm a big collector myself, so I have a collection of over 200 different board games and card games. So I'm bringing a very large board game and card game library there that you'll be able to just take to a table with you and your adult that you come with and be able to learn a new game. And if you have questions or want to, need a little bit of help, we'll have plenty of people there who are going to kind of help you to learn how to play the game. I'm mainly focusing on kids 8 through 18
Okay.
with their adult. And adult is anyone. Sibling, cousin, grandparent, guardian, parent.
Just an adult.
Just an adult that you go there with. Somebody who's here, who their goal is to get to spend some quality time with, their little person and to teach them. And mainly the reason why I mentioned having an adult there is just because some of these games require a little more reading and are a little bit more difficult. And just
Okay.
having an adult there who can kind of help you work through it, I think is great. But the main focus is on kind of bringing kids into the gaming community because, like I said, learning young and early, I think will really help them. But it's open to everybody. We're going to be sending flyers home with some of the school districts. That way the kids will
Okay.
get a chance to see it. We have a website. It's www.boardgames, B-O-A-R-D, games for board, B-O-R-E-D, kids.com. If you log on to that, it'll not only let you register for the event, but it'll also kind of show you a list of all the things we're going to be doing. As the event gets a little bit closer, we will be posting times for doing specific learning sessions. Like I said, I mentioned some of these guys are going to come out there specifically to teach kids how to play Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, a lot of these different games that are out there. That way, even if you have zero experience or if you've played the game 100 times before, you'll be able to go out there and play. And it's not only kids. A lot of my daughter's college friends are going to be coming out there because they just want a chance to to play all these different board games that I have.
Sure. So I know as a kid you started, with your dad and all of that, and that's really, really cool. But I wonder is there a number out there? How many games are there in the world?
There have to be millions. I mean, it's interesting because there's a lot of new websites that have cropped up. There's a particular one called Kickstarter. I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
I have.
This is a place where people go on when they have an idea and they want to bring it to fruition and they get
They need money.
crowdfunding. Exactly. It is a treasure trove of new games. I mean, every day you go on there and you can see all these people who started out just as hey, like you mentioned, designing a little card game. Like they go from writing words on a little card to now producing this high quality games. And it's amazing to see them bring their ideas to fruition. But gosh, that number must be in the millions. I mean, there's probably a million different games you can play with a deck of cards on its own, truth be told.
Right. And you think about that, and how do you come up with a game? Like, it is so wild. Have you ever thought about like creating your own?
So interestingly enough, I actually have created quite a few games with my kids.
Okay.
Some of my kids are pretty good artists, and so over time we've developed a couple of different board games that we've played on our own. And my son has actually, my 12-year-old has actually developed his own card game. It's very Pokemon-esque, but it has all his own artwork. He draws all of it. And
Aw,
as
I
I tell
love
him, one
that.
day I know that he'll be famous, so I actually have one of his original signed cards framed up, and I put it down in my basement. That way everyone can see that, this is where he started, so that one day when he's, rich and famous down the line from all of his art and game design. But it's nice because, it's fun when my kids come up with these ideas, and they're like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had a game that we could do this with? And then we kind of go and we tinker and we work on it. And, I mean, there's so much do-it-yourself stuff out there that we've been able to. I've created the board, and I've created the playing pieces and laminated them, and you can get so much stuff at home now. A Cricut, I don't know if you have a Cricut yourself, but
I don't. I know what it is. I do not have one. That would require creativity, and I have none.
But it's one of the most amazing things. I mean, you can cut vinyl, paper, everything to very, very precise in any shape, size. It makes your games look quite professional. I mean, it's a long way from me writing with a magic marker on the top of a box what my game was going to be to having a beautiful cricketed out full art design box. And like I said, you don't have to be, a big company or corporation to do this kind of stuff. You can do it at home in your basement with the tools that you have there, and you can make a fun game that you and your kids play.
That is wild to think about that. So now there's, millions plus one in your house, right?
Exactly.
So here's the thing, and if you're not into games, that's totally cool too. Whatever. Like, do you have any of your kids like, I don't think so. I'd rather do something else.
Absolutely. But one of the joys is even a couple of my kids who aren't into games still really wanted to be a part of the convention. So my one daughter, who's really into art, is doing a lot of the artwork for the convention and the graphic design. And she really wants to be there because she thinks it'll be a lot of fun to go there and meet all these kids and help them out. And I said, well, I mean, I need ticket takers and people to sell food and stuff too, so she'll help out. But a lot of this convention was a lot of like my love of it, but also my family just really being supportive of this, and my wife and kids especially. That it's great. They're just like, I want to be there. I want to help out. I want to do this. I want to help you do this because they see what my passion is and they know how much fun they had growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, not every kid's going to want to play games, and that's understandable.
That's
but
totally fine.
You know what? If they come and we teach them one new game and they enjoy it and they go home and now they can play a game with their family or their friends, I mean, then I feel like I've done my job for it.
Yep. Well, I can't tell you how many times, like, growing up, listen, I think it's a little different now because you have the internet and cell phones and all that. But like us growing up, even as teenagers, I can remember on weekends we had euchre parties. Because it's like, what else do? You got in your car and you drove around, or there wasn't a ton to do here. And so we played euchre a lot, and, but it was fun. And it's something that I had no idea when I first started, like how to play. And now, good luck. I will get you. But, no, I love it. It's so fun.
See, and that's the joy. Like, you're living that too. So you watched it. You learned how to do it, and now you're very capable of going and teaching other people how to play.
Sure.
And then, you can grift them a little bit. You can be like, oh, I'm not that good. Don't worry.
No, I suck.
So, and that's the beauty of this is that, like, it doesn't take a long time to learn how to play a game. Most of these board games are designed for you to learn how to play in about 10 minutes, and then, you play the game for about 30 or 40 minutes. But they take a really long time to get good at, and that's where you just got to be constantly playing. And if you're always playing and you have new groups of people to play with, then I think that's great because then you're going to strategize and you're going to learn what works against some people and what doesn't work against other people. And that's really where then you become, as they say, the game master there for it.
Sure. And I think sometimes too, like in euchre, you have for the most of the time you have a teammate. So then you have to learn strategy with that human being. Like, do you just feel energy? Do you, I don't know. It's just kind of cool because you have to be on a team with that person too.
And that's a lot of the beauty of these games, especially a lot of the ones I'm bringing, there are a lot of team-based games where it's
Cool.
you and 2 or 3 other people. And especially at an event like this, it's going to be 2 or 3 people you probably
Don't know.
You don't know and haven't met before in your life, and you're going to have to figure out what kind of cues can I use to communicate with them.
Exactly.
There's a great
Is
game.
it like the double wink? What is it?
Exactly. There's a great game that we play as a group in the family called Sequence, which involves both cards and a board, where it's basically you match a card that you have in your hand to a board, and you're trying to make like a 5 in a row with those cards, but other people are trying to block you with their cards. So you and your friend there have to figure out how to communicate with each other where you want to put something without tipping off the other people, because then they're going to immediately go and block you. It's like a very advanced tic-tac-toe involving multiple people. And it's very easy to learn how to play the game. It's only a couple of steps, but actually figuring out all the strategy. And then it's a lot of fun because then you play one game with one team and then you switch up and you play it with a different teammate and see which of you guys can truly be the best.
Who you mesh well with.
Exactly.
Well, and you're exactly right. I mean, let's take poker, for example. How long does it take to learn to play poker? 10 minutes?
Yeah, I've taught people in the first night they come over to how to play.
It's not hard to learn the basics of poker, but yet there are tournaments and there are people that is their business and that's their profession because they are so good at it. And there are so many strategies and so many different things. And again, but some of it just comes down to luck, and that's why I guess it's a game.
Exactly. Like, you can only bluff your way so far. If that card under there is not the card that you needed, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So, but it's like, it's acting, I mean, it's all of these things, and you have to perfect all of them. So it's pretty cool. Okay. So, well, what's your favorite game to play? Or do you have one? It depends on what kind of mood you're in.
My favorite game is a game called Settlers of Catan. It's a board game that also involves dice. And it's what we call a resource management game where basically you're trying to build little cities and little roads to connect your cities to each other. But a big part of it is because you're usually playing with 3 or 4 other people is you're also trying to block their access to certain places. And you can only build a city based on certain kinds of resources that you gain, and you gain resources based on where you built your cities. So there's like wood and grain and brick and stone. And it'll always happen that one person will have all the brick or all the stone, and then you have to figure out how can I trade with that person? What do I have to give them so that they'll give me some of it? Because, you have to trade to get some good things, but at the same time, you also don't want to give up anything so that your opponent might get an edge. And those games can also last quite a while. An average game is usually about 90 minutes for that. But it's a lot of fun because my wife and I and several of my kids play it, and now even I've taught my 12-year-olds how to play it. So now I have a whole new set of opponents.
Very cool.
And it's really fun watching them play for the first time and watching them figure it out and kind of helping them with their plays. Be like, oh, instead of you doing that, you really want to try to do this instead. So you kind of let them see what the strategy is. Because, again, it's low stakes. It's a board game. If I lose a board game, it's not the end of the world for me. And if my son gets to win a board game when he plays it, you know what? It makes him happy. But I also have to teach him that it's okay when he doesn't win that game.
Yes.
But now he learned that next time I shouldn't do that same thing.
Yes. See? It's all a learning lesson.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. So tell us the specifics of the convention, because are there, is there food there? How did they get tickets? All of that stuff.
Absolutely. So it is a 2-day convention. It's Saturday, January 11th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then Sunday, January 12th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Tickets will be sold both online at the website I mentioned, www.boardgamesforboardkids.com, as well as at the door.
Okay.
Tickets are $10 per day, and that covers the entirety of the day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're also going to sell snacks, things like soda, popcorn, chips, coffee, tea, water, things like that.
Okay.
And the beauty of it is it's in a place which is in very close proximity to a lot of great eating establishments.
Yeah.
There's several pizza places and other small restaurants right there in Point that will be open. Exactly. And, come and play for as long as you want. That $10 admission will get you in all day Saturday and then another one on Sunday, and you can play as long as you want. If you want to come and play one game or if you want to come and play games from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. all day long with your kids or just yourself. I mean, we're going to have plenty of people there teaching games all day long. And then we are going to have a coloring contest and door prizes. That way for when people, don't want to play a game, but they want to still do some other fun things. So everyone loves door prizes. Winning something is always like a number one thing. We're going to have little gift giveaways. We have some sponsors that are going to be giving away some gift cards and things like that. Some of those guys that I mentioned earlier. So it's really great. So, if people are able to check it out, I have a little thing. I don't know if people can see it up there, but it's my
little flyer there.
Flyer there, board games for board kids.
Love
and
that.
And like I said, some stuff should be coming home, hopefully with your kids. A lot of the school districts were very open to us being able to hand some stuff out. But if not, if you go to that website, all the information will be right there on the website for everybody.
Awesome. And we do ask that you don't, drop off 14 small children and leave. Like, bring an adult with the kids.
That's why I did mention, obviously one adult can bring multiple kids, but that's why I did mention, if you have a whole gaggle of...
This ain't a babysitting service.
Exactly. Not a babysitting service. It is, if you have a gaggle of 8-year-olds, just come along. And again, I think you'll have fun with it. Because teaching kids how to play games and then playing games and then watching them win, lose, or just have a good time, at the end of the day, that's all quality time that you've spent with them.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. I cannot play Connect 4 to save my life, and my husband beats me every time, and I get really, really angry. So I've just come to the conclusion that I shouldn't play Connect 4 with my husband anymore.
But we will have.
But I'm a bad loser.
We will have Connect 4.
So would you teach me how to play Connect 4 and beat my husband?
Absolutely. If you come down, we will have Connect 4 there, and we will teach you how to play Connect 4. We'll teach you some strategies.
Because every time, 100% of the time.
It's all about the art of distraction. You just gotta get them looking over here when you're putting it over here. That's what you gotta do.
It shouldn't be that hard to get 4 things in a row.
I know. Tic-tac-toe shouldn't be as hard as it is, right? That's
True
only
that.
3 in a row.
That's true.
But it's amazing. Connect 4 is a great one because I can't tell, but anyone any age can play that. My 3-year-old is learning how to play it, and it's just great to teach kids something as simple as that, and then you elevate. Like I said, you have tic-tac-toe, you have Connect 4, you have Sequence, like I was mentioning earlier. All games that are based off of the exact same idea. Just get a couple things in a row.
Just getting a little harder as they go.
Exactly. Teaching more layers and more levels of strategy. And that's kind of the goal of gaming, is that you build it up. You start small and you build from there.
I think this is so amazing, and it's so refreshing, and thank you for bringing this to the area. And, in your spare time when you're not being a surgeon and raising your 7 children.
Everybody has to do something that they like for themselves, and besides work and play. This is what I dedicate my playtime to. But like I said, I couldn't do it if not for my family, my kids, my wife, having all that great support there at home. So it is just awesome and amazing. And having my family and that support system there, that's what allows me to be able to do all of this. Because you're right, there's not a lot of spare time between all those things.
No. And so, free plug for you while you're here. You are a doctor, and you do work at Holzer. So how would someone come and be your patient? What kind of doctor? I know you said surgery, right?
Yes, so I'm a general surgeon. I take care of all breast cancer, colon cancer, skin cancers, gallbladder disease, hernias. I do robotic hernia repair. So if any of those things sound like something that you're suffering from, by all means, get right on our website. I'm at Holzer Gallipolis and also Holzer in Athens. I'm up there a little bit of the time too. So look us up, Dr. Jonathan Seiden, Sedeyn. We'd love to see you. Yeah,
very good. And as he's taken a look at your person, he can maybe give you a strategy on a game as well.
Absolutely. Hey, bring all your questions. All questions welcome.
If you need some help with Monopoly, no problem. This guy's got you. He can take out your gallbladder and help you with that all at the same time.
Absolutely.
Jonathan, thank you so much for spending your morning with us. This has been so fun.
Thank you. It was really a great chance to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And best of luck. Let us know how the convention goes.
Absolutely, I will.
Very, very cool. All right, we have a message from our friends at Vinton County Bank, and then Pete Wilson just walked in the door, so he's going to fill us in on the latest and greatest going on in news.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
All right, and we are back with our good friend Pete Wilson, who has on his red plaid shirt today.
Does that mean Christmas?
I don't
think it just
know.
means that's the first shirt I came to in the closet.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if that was like a sort of Jackson Ironman shirt or just a plaid sort of red shirt.
Ironmen play tomorrow. but
Tomorrow.
They're off.
Okay.
They're off tonight, or you might have seen the red shirt.
Very good. So no, that's awesome. And Pete, you are here to talk about some of the great things and maybe some bad things going on in the area.
Okay. Well, of course, this is the big weekend for Christmas stuff.
Yep.
I know that we've had some, in the last week or so, and there'll be more even after this weekend. But this is the big weekend, meaning this is when most of the community celebrations are. It actually starts tonight in Colton. They do the Lena's tree lighting. So I haven't mentioned that yet this week, but it will be at 6 p.m. there at the Colton Community Building that is there on 2nd Street. And in the back, they have got a tradition. It's the 10th year now for this.
Isn't that
where
wild?
they have a tree lighting, a Christmas tree, a decorated Christmas tree in honor of the late Lena Humphreys. She operated a very popular store in Colton for many years ago. Mm-hmm. And in her honor, the family wanted to memorialize her, and they did it with the community Christmas tree that has become, an annual thing in Colton. So the public is welcome to come to that. It comes through the village of Colton. The community building is the governmental building there, and it'll be at 6 p.m. And Colton Mayor Jim Milliken says that there'll be a short ceremony behind the Colton Village building. If you have an ornament, I don't think you have to be from Colton to participate in this. You can hang an ornament on the tree.
That's pretty cool.
And you can participate that way, and that'll stay decorated and lit through the Christmas season. Then Saturday is the big day. You have celebrations with multiple activities in Jackson, Oak Hill, and MacArthur. And then you have a parade in Wellston. The parade in Wellston is the famous Wellston Lions Club Christmas parade with Christmas, on the Santa float.
Oh, yeah.
So even though we had Christmas trees on Wellston streets last weekend, a whole bunch of things, we lit the trees there in Pride Park. This Lions Club parade is separate from that, and it stays on that traditional day, the first Saturday in December. So even if you celebrated last week in Wellston, go back for the Lions Club Christmas parade. It will take off at 1 p.m., end up at the city building. Santa will be there to meet all the kids and hand out treats.
Love
So
it.
in Jackson, it all takes place tomorrow evening. Starts off with a parade at 7 o'clock. The coordinated activities, it's several different organizations, governmental agencies involved there. It's called Jackson Holiday Light Up. This is the 5th year it's had that name. Mm-hmm. And it'll start off with a parade at 7 p.m. It will make its way out to Manpower Park from the downtown area. And then there will be the tree lighting there about 7:45 time approximate. That's Barbie McCathern and her Cultivating Our Future public service group. And after the tree lighting, don't know how many trees there are, but in the past there's been about 80. Mm-hmm. There will be fireworks. This is something a tradition that has carried over from the COVID year when they didn't do fireworks that year because of having crowds together, and so they had it in December when it cooled down a little bit, and there wasn't as much COVID at that time of the year, and they have been able to continue that thanks to donations and the Jackson Tourism Board stepping up to help. But it's a $9,000 display, not quite as big as the July 3rd, but still significant.
Pretty cool, though.
Be about 14 minutes, and I'm thinking, if I saw the advanced forecast, not quite as cold as it's been the last couple nights. All right.
It's going to be good.
Right. So all that is in Jackson. And then in Oak Hill, it's Christmas in the Village. and a lot like Jackson in the sense that they start off with a parade. This is the 7th annual Christmas in the Village. The Oak Hill Historical Society, the Oak Hill Chamber of Commerce, the Village of Oak Hill are all involved in that. The parade will kick off from the old high school parking lot there on West Main Street. That will be at 4:45 p.m. It will wind around the streets of Oak Hill, end up at Central Memorial Park, and that's where they'll do their tree lighting. And this year, it's some trees, but if you were participating through the Historical Society, it was wreaths this year.
Yes.
It was very hard to get trees or in full-length trees this year, I suppose because of the drought.
Yep.
But even individuals who are looking to get their Christmas tree may run into that a little bit this year. But anyway, they will light the wreaths and the trees in Central Memorial Park, and Santa Claus will be there right after to meet with all the kids. There'll also be the Christmas auction held by the Madison Jefferson firefighters over at the Bingo Hall, which is nearby, right there on East Main Street. That will be at 6 o'clock, and so that's a lot going on in Oak Hill. In MacArthur, it is the Christmas in Downtown event. That will go in the afternoon hours. A lot of businesses will be open when maybe they wouldn't have been open. They'll be offering some special deals, of course. It's a coordinated thing to kick up business there in the downtown area. There will be a parade there as well. Santa will be at the courthouse after the parade to meet the kiddies.
Okay.
And then remember, this is not coordinated definitely with Christmas in downtown, but it's happening at the same time out at the fairgrounds. The Fair Board is doing a Christmas tree display out there.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
People could get there. This has only been going on, this is either the 2nd or 3rd year for that.
Okay.
It's a fundraiser, but it's also, another way to celebrate Christmas. It's right there on 93. You can see the trees from the road, but you pull off the highway there, go on those fairgrounds roads, and there's trees ringing the fairgrounds road there. So all this is happening this weekend and much more. Last night, it was cold, all right, if you were outside. But the Mayu Brown Funeral Home Christmas Cheer through Yesteryear event did take place.
Yep.
And here are some young ladies. They are Meadow Washam, Phoebe Brown, and Willow Washam. They are enjoying some hot cocoa there. And let me tell you what, that was a popular thing for Jason Brown to have.
Say so.
Free hot cocoa.
Right.
You put marshmallows or whipped cream in it and maybe some other things, but they're enjoying that. And also at the Mayu Brown Funeral Home, you can see
Look at that.
they had the camels. There is Jason Brown. I don't know whether
How
the camel's
fun.
about to check out his hair or not, but they seem to, camels, you associate them with the desert. They didn't seem to mind the weather that I could tell anyway.
Hey.
They posed as long as
They have their hay there.
As
They're
long as they
good.
had that hay to eat,
Yep.
they seemed very happy to chew contentedly. But they had camels there. They had barnyard animals there. They also had a live nativity scene. This year, it was just some different kids who volunteered for the nativity scene. Give them a lot of credit because
Absolutely.
It was in the 20s and the wind chill, I might have been in the teens.
I hope there
Put
wasn't
this
a
way-
real baby in there, Pete.
No, there was. I don't think so. But those young people who did the nativity
that's
scene,
sweet.
give them a lot of credit.
Very
and
much.
they definitely looks authentic there. That was out in the parking lot where the camels and the
Yes.
barnyard animals were, and inside. There was things going on. A succession of Jackson Middle School and Jackson High School choirs were performing. That is Ash Culberson directing the 7th grade choir. And very festive. They had music throughout the evening, and I'm glad for them that it was inside because sometimes they have performed
Yes.
outside.
Yes.
So they were inside for this. And also inside was a memorial tree. There is Jason Brown by it. This is such a nice thing, and it kind of coordinates with his service at the funeral home.
Absolutely.
Because on that tree are ornaments with the names of persons who died within the last year and who were serviced at the funeral home. Families can come in and take an ornament home that's got the name of their loved one on it.
That's awesome.
Also out in front, beautiful luminaries lining the Oval Drive there in front of the funeral home. That also has the
love
names of the
that.
decedents there as well.
That's so fun.
And then downtown, they had the cookie walk.
Yes.
All right. And
Man, were they out for cookies last night?
they were still out.
Let me tell you.
And this is a picture from inside Ellie Mills Mercantile, which, of course, that is owner-operator is Chris Miller. She is there on the far left. And young Beckham Oliver, he's the youngster in the toboggan in the Santa shirt there. He happened to be there when I was there to take a picture. And when he got his cookie, we got a picture taken along there with Ellie. I mean, not Ellie, but Chris Miller is. We have Lake and Camp. She's of Chavis Crossing because there's a number of businesses in that store.
Yes,
I think
for
they told
sure.
me in the 20s.
Yeah,
you know,
there's
it's
a lot.
something. That store, by the way, is beautiful if
Yeah.
you haven't been in there.
Yep.
Talk about some potential Christmas gifts. But anyway, Lake and Camp is there in the middle, and on the end is Lindsay Denny of L. Brook Marketing.
Yes.
So that's a good way to kick off the Christmas season. Of course, there was street vendors there. Give them the red badge of courage for being out for 4 hours.
It was cold.
Right. They were out there, a lot of street vendors again, and of course, a lot of businesses participating as well. And, you know, a lot of Christmas cookies, obviously, given away
Yes.
as part of that deal. Also, some other events taking place. The American Legion in Wellston, they do so much for the community. They will do a Breakfast with Santa event
Okay.
on Saturday morning from 11 a.m. No, I'm sorry, from 10 to 11 a.m. Then Santa will meet with children from 11 to 11:30. You've got Breakfast with the Grinch down in Oak Hill at the Bingo Hall. The Festival of Flags does that. So instead of Santa and breakfast, it's the Grinch and Santa. So that's been a very popular event. And of course, starting this Saturday evening, when everybody's out at Manpower Park, the Santa House will be stationed out there.
I saw it out
Right,
there
used to be
the other day.
downtown, but now it's at Manpower Park. That makes sense since they have the big event there. And there will be regular hours throughout December where Santa will be there. We've got those posted, but the first one will be this Saturday from. It'll be open after the Christmas parade. So when everybody's out there, Santa will be out there as well, you know, when the tree lighting and the fireworks take place. And then there'll be regular hours on the weekends on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So look for that, and that will go through Sunday, December the 22nd. Also, this Sunday, December the 8th, the Oak Hill High School Choir will do a Christmas concert there at the high school. That'll be at 2 p.m. That'll be free.
Oh, that's great.
And then I just heard today or last night that it's sold out, but the Marquee is having the Davis McCormick Choir's
Yes.
Christmas concert. Probably their most popular concert
Yes.
of the year.
Always
and it is
lovely.
sold out. Isn't that great?
That is, I just love that so much.
Right. It'll be 7 p.m. on Sunday. I don't know if there's an SRO standing room only deal going on. I
Maybe.
don't want to say that, but that will take place on Sunday evening. So that, and they practice all year long
Oh
for
my
several
gosh.
concerts. Great community service. All right, we're just about out of time, but I'll do a little spoiler alert about something we may talk on Sunday because a lot of people have paid attention to this. But a decision was made on Wednesday afternoon following a meeting with the consultant, the architect, that in downtown Jackson, they're going to preserve the angled parking for the streetscape project. The
Sure.
streetscape project, there you see the example of the angled parking there on Broadway Street. The streetscape project is a $3.7 million project. It is a biggie.
People don't,
I
yeah,
mean,
they're,
right,
they're
right.
not understanding how big
Curbs,
this
sidewalks, landscaping. It's going to be on those two main blocks of Main Street and Broadway downtown. The first thing that had to be decided was the parking because it's all going to, the schematics are all going to roll around that. This was a chance if people wanted, or the city wanted, or business people wanted. I don't know whether it was going to be a popular decision or the city was going to make a decision at the end, but they wanted to get survey results, and it was overwhelming.
Oh,
People
sure.
do not want to lose parking spaces
No.
on
We don't have
downtown.
enough as it is.
They're going to lose a little bit with the design anyway, but they would have lost almost half as many
Yeah.
if they would have gone to parallel.
Besides that, nobody wants parallel park.
Well, a secondary complaint about it was, I don't want to have to do that.
I mean,
you know, you had to do it to
It's-
get your license.
yeah.
At least, I don't know whether you do now, but you did when I got
no,
my license.
I don't think they do. Do you have to, did you have to parallel park to get your, do you have your license? No. Oh, never mind.
Okay. That was always the thing. Oh God, do I have to parallel park to get my license?
I know it was a big deal, and it's still. a big deal today. And, go to High Street in Columbus and try to parallel park. It's stressful,
Well,
man.
a lot of places, it is parallel parking instead of angle parking. On angle parking, you have more spots. I will say that when you go down Main and Broadway, if it's busy, you're always looking at somebody with those backup lights.
Yes.
Are they gonna back up
hit
into
me?
you?
Yeah.
Right. So there's always that. But the other thing, the advantage of parallel parking, and I'm glad they didn't do parallel parking either, by the way. The advantage was that you could have wider sidewalks, bigger street lanes, of course, out in the street. And it might have been, you might have been able to do a little bit more with the streetscaping. But everybody agreed there's not enough parking downtown as it is.
Yep.
But it's going to go from about 200 some parking spaces on street to about 188. So somehow in the design, they're going to lose a few, but there will be a little bit more off-street parking the way they're going to do it. I'm not exactly sure how, but the lot right across from your place will be the biggest part of that. I think they're maybe going to reline that.
Yeah, they're going to, I think the plan has been to redo that, repave and line and all of that.
Right, that is
whole
a
parking lot.
city lot there,
is.
so that is part of the city's plan. But the streetscape thing, we'll talk more about it, next week, Monday or Tuesday or whatever. Council has a meeting on a Monday evening, but the architect is formally recommending the angle parking, not just because it's popular, but also the number of parking spaces is a big factor.
We can't lose downtown parking.
It's a big factor in the streetscape. But that streetscape project will be going on. It'll be a lot of construction downtown, warning. And also, they're going to have to put new water lines downtown, too.
Yes.
Because if you're going to do that, you may as well do it before you do the streetscape, right?
Absolutely. And again, it's going to be like paving all over town. It's a definitely an inconvenience, yes. But at the end of the day, it's going to be really, really cool.
Right, exactly. Okay, well, Jennifer, that is it. We'll talk a lot more next week, and my troops will be around doing the ho-ho-ho routine a lot this weekend, especially on Saturday. And then, we'll show some pictures, hopefully, and talk about how all that came down on Monday.
Absolutely. So we'll fill you in on the latest and greatest on Monday. Stay warm today. Going to be another rough one. I do think the temperatures are going to start popping up as the weekend kind of rolls around. Maybe a little chance of rain here and there too, but whatever.
Right.
We could use it.
It is December.
It is. So, all right. Well, have a great weekend, everyone. Have a great weekend, Pete Wilson.
I'll do it.
All right. And we will see you right back here on Monday. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
From breaking news to heartwarming stories, the Telegram is your ticket to the latest buzz in town.
Read your daily dose of local headlines, sports, and entertainment and more, in hand and on paper.
Get a print and digital subscription for only $7.95 per month. Delivered fresh every Wednesday and Saturday.
Visit thetelegramnews.com or call 740-286-3023 today.
Don't just read the news, be a part of it.